Hey, what's up guys? Thanks for stopping by the channel. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at a great everyday timepiece from Second Hour. This is a brand that is based out of Australia, and I've actually followed them for a while, but this is the first time one of their models has come across my desk. And on the wrist, this is the Mark III iteration of their Mandala. And with this release comes a number of different really cool dial colors, and I really like the guilloche texture on this dial as well. Now in terms of pricing, it's quite competitive. I think these are offered at 920 Aussie dollars, which translates closer to like 820 Canadian bucks. So why don't we flip the camera around now and you guys can take a close-up look at the Mandala Mark III in the studio. So now that we're in the studio, we can take a closer look at this Mandala Mark III from Second Hour Watches. And for this video, I am featuring their mint green dial, but do check their website for different colorways that are out there. Now, Second Hour Watches actually markets this as a go anywhere, do anything timepiece that's versatile enough to be more dressy with a gorgeous guilloche dial, very good finishing, and compact dimensions, but at the same time it can double as more of a sporty piece because there are some design elements that make it more durable and swimmable than you would actually think. Now on the topic of the case dimensions, it's an even 40 millimeters across the case. If you flip the watch to the side, the wingspan or lug to lug distance between my thumbs is 46.2 millimeters. And then with thickness, it's only 10.9 millimeters from the bottom of that screwed down case back. That does have a sapphire window to show off the Miyota 915 movement. And then to the top of another flat sapphire crystal that's chamfered on the edge and carries 6 layers of anti-reflective treatment on the underside to help show off the dial and resist the glare from my studio lights. I'll also mention that between the lugs is an even 20 millimeters for the supplied bracelet. And even though this bracelet does look like a 7-piece construction, each individual link is actually only one piece, held in place with nice slot screws for easy adding or removal of different links. And it tapers to about 18 millimeters before you get to the rather large signed clasp. Now the benefit to this clasp is that it's robust, has a twin trigger releasing mechanism, and if you depress this push tab here on the underside, you can actually extend or reduce the size of the bracelet throughout the day, and that's a feature I'd like to see on a Gata timepiece. And here's a quick in-studio wrist shot just to show you how this watch would wear on a 7.5-inch wrist size. That is 19 centimeters in circumference if you use the metric system. And you can see that it conforms to the wrist well, sits fairly low, and it only weighs 147 grams when you combine the watch head and the bracelet sized up for this wrist. Now, it does have quick release spring bars on the end links of the bracelet, so you can actually easily swap this out for a strap if you'd like to. Now, if you continue with the watch head and the bracelet, I do want to mention that they are forged in 316L stainless steel. But one of the more durable aspects for this watch is that Second Hour actually hardened the steel to 1200 Vickers. So normal 316L is only about 200 to 250 Vickers in hardness. This is easily 4 or 5 times more scratch resistant, which I really like to see because the finishing on this watch is very, very good for the price point. Nice polished accents on the bezel and a polished transitional line on the flanks of the case here, and you even have nice bevels and intermediate polished links on the bracelet as well that are going to be protected against scratches. Now if we move in on the beautiful guilloche textured dial, it's executed to a very high level, even under my macro lens. It's nice to see. I also like that there is minimal text. you just have the second hour logo below the 12 o'clock position and the mandala printing that's above the 6 o'clock date window, which is nicely framed and helps keep the symmetry of the overall dial. I also like the use of applied hour markers, which are nicely polished and filled with BGW9 lume, and you can see how the 12, 4, and 8 o'clock marker are slightly larger, and that's a nice bit of asymmetry that can also help in orientation at a glance. And then to give you a little bit more dimension, you also have a nicely raised chapter ring with your running minute track, and I like the fact that the seconds hand tip goes right out to the edge of a chapter ring that's there. And then with respect to the minute and the hour hand, they are nicely bifurcated at the very end. That's something I don't typically see, and they're filled with BGW9 lume as well. And I'll show you guys a low light shot now. I think the lume works quite well. It's not considered a dive watch, so don't expect lume that's going to burn your retinas. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the movement inside this watch is a Miyota 9015 Japanese automatic movement with 24 joules. It does have about a 41-hour power reserve, ticks away at 4 Hz, and has hacking and hand wind. All of this is operated via a nice 6mm signed and screwed down crown from Second Hour, and this also helps give this watch 100 meters of water resistance as well. Now if we just quickly flip the watch over, you can actually see that they have a very nice customized rotor that accompanies this Miyota 9015 movement, and you can also get a better look at those quick release tabs for the solid end links of the bracelet itself. So overall, I do think that this is actually a very compelling package for the price that they're offering this particular timepiece at. Now you might be asking, is there anything that would potentially detract from this watch? One thing, because you do have a display case back and the Miyota 9015 movement, you can have a very audible rotor that wobbles around while you're wearing the watch. And that's not uncommon to other timepieces that use this movement, but it's very noticeable on this particular watch. The other thing to consider too is if you have a smaller wrist, this clasp itself is quite long. It's actually 42mm across. And while it doesn't bother my wrist size, because I still have a number of individual links that have good articulation, if you have a smaller wrist size and take out a lot of links, this is a big chunk of steel that might just press against your wrist and be a little uncomfortable. But again, these are very small comments and don't detract from the overall feeling of quality for this particular timepiece. And I do think it's extremely versatile, very nice finishing throughout the watch. I really like the surface hardening that goes onto the case and bracelet to make it more durable. Great crown action as well, and a very nice guilloche dial texture with some really cool color options that are also available on their website. So I do want to thank Second Hour for lending in this particular watch for the video. And guys, if you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really does help me out. So that's going to wrap up this video, and I can't wait to catch you guys in the next one.